Hi guys, our good friend Ben Habib had predicted a few days ago that he would win the Wellingbourgh by-election, that he would be sitting in the House of Commons on Monday morning, holding Rishi Sunak to account on everything from net zero to stopping the boats. Well, he came third in what was basically a three-horse race. This was actually a terrible result for Ben, who had been promoted by GB News. Now, Reform UK have a massive platform there, where they go completely unchallenged, and its boss Richard Tice has his own show. Ben tried to spin the result as massive support for reform, but he fails to understand one important point.
We've done really well. Look at reform. Reform is an insurgency. It's a new business, isn't it? We started 3 years ago. 3 months ago, we did 5% in Tamworth, slightly less than that in Mid-Bedfordshire. Today, we've done 10% in Kingswood, where people were saying we were going to lose our deposit. We've done 13% here, which is more than our national polling. This is a staging post in the growth of Reform UK's recognition, in the growth of people's understanding of what we stand for. And in case anyone on GB News doesn't know what we stand for genuine small c conservative policies, cutting taxes on the working and middle classes, cutting taxes on businesses, making sure that we don't undercut British workers with cheap imported labour, reducing immigration dramatically, stopping the boats, getting rid of the economically emasculating net zero, which is driving our economy into the ground. You don't save the planet by killing the economy. These are sensible, common sense policies which cut through in Wellingborough in a 4-week period. And think what's going to happen in the general election. I'm going to stand here again. I'm going to take the fight again to the other parties, and we're going to do much better in the general election.
No, you're not. And the simple reason is that you are a high-profile figure within GB News and within the Reform UK party. When the general election comes around, you're not going to be able to throw the amount of resources that you did at the by-election. So the general election, you're going to have to spread your campaigning very thinly because you don't have the resources. You don't have the resources of the Labour Party or the Conservatives. So when it comes to the by-election, they can focus both media attention and money on those by-elections. But when the general election comes around, you're going to either have to spread that money really thinly, or you're going to have to abandon certain candidates and focus just on certain constituencies. But then you're going to be applying the logic of a by-election in the general election, and that's not going to win you seats, because you need to have a massive campaign, you need to have massive resources, you need to have volunteers going out knocking on doors. Reform UK don't have that, or if they do, it's very small, in a very small way. So what Ben Habib is trying to do is trying to spin this as, well, you know, a few days ago he said that he was going to win the seat, but he's trying to do now is spin it as, well, you know, we did really well, we only picked up 5% at the last by-election. Yes, they are increasing their percentage of the vote, and this is damaging to the Conservatives, but when the general election comes around, you're not going to be able to see the same result, because people will not vote based on local issues. They're going to vote on national issues. And while you can focus on local issues in the by-election, you can't apply that to the general. So when the general election comes around, it's going to be, do people want the Tories or do they want change? And people want change. And the viable alternative at the moment is the Labour Party. So Reform UK will be, unfortunately for the Tories, cutting into their support. Now, I've mentioned this in another video, and I really don't understand why the Conservative Party is not taking the whip away from the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg, Lee Anderson and others, because they are undermining other Conservative MPs. Moderates in the party should be up in arms. They should be demanding that the likes of the far right, who are appearing on GB News and working for GB News, should have the whip removed, because those moderates are likely to lose their seat because of the amplification that's taking place for Reform UK. But when it comes to the general, Reform are not going to pick up any seats. They didn't pick up a seat in the by-election, where all the energy was focused on those by-elections, where the media focus was on those candidates. When it comes to the general, unless Nigel Farage jumps in, which it seems unlikely, they're not going to pick up any seats. And they probably won't even increase their percentage of the vote. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.